This video has been sent to me 3 times in DMs and has been posted in the last 15 minutes 3 times in the video react request channel on Discord. So it better be the greatest video of all time. I do have my concerns with this one, though. It's from Rivergrit. In my opinion, and I do have a hard time getting past this opinion, so I will try to in this video. I'm coming into it, trying to make myself more objective. He's a part of PvP orgs, and the PvP community tends to be very much on their side without seeing the side that makes a healthy game overall for everybody. But I am going to be objective, and I'm going to watch the video. So here we go. Let me link it, because we haven't watched the video from Rivergrit on the channel in forever. So there it is in Twitch chat for you guys, okay? But in general, I really like this guy, and I think his takes are pretty good. But I always get concerned watching PvP-related videos because they are just... I see you guys say selfish, but selfish isn't the right word. It's they're kind of like blinders on.
I have seen massive amounts of players complaining about the PvP and Xenothreat, from streamers, from Reddit, and Spectrum. Even Board Gamer put out a video on it. So here's the question: do we have a PvP problem?
I don't think we have a PvP problem. We have an unfinished game problem. And just really quick on Xenothreat, would Xenothreat be better, and same with Siege of Orison, be better if they were instanced dungeon type content like you see in other MMOs? Yes, absolutely. They would just generally be better. But is that the game we signed up for? No. So I think it makes Star Citizen worse. Now, in terms of performance, that's a whole nother thing with those, is if you were limited to a certain number of players versus NPCs, they would be able to dial in the performance perfectly. That's a whole nother thing. But the idea of, I think that type of content is better suited as instance content. It just is. But that's not the game we're playing. So it's hard to call it a problem.
My short answer is no. But let's dive a bit deeper and see if we can both figure out where the root of the problem is. Alright, first, let's put ourselves in the shoes of someone that might play solo. You're aware Xenothreat is live. Maybe you've seen the YouTube video CIG released, or perhaps you read it on Pipeline Leaks. You do a quick peep of the RSI website to confirm. Yep, it's up and running. Excited to earn the reward of a new set of unique armor. You warm up the launcher and enter the verse. Upon arrival, you're in awe. That Idris is so cool. As you pop out of nav mode, scanning the horizon,
it's so cool at 3 FPS.
You see a couple unfriendly XT ships flying around, with a few players peppered in. You start taking them out one by one. You're at peak immersion right now. A few phases later, while zoned into the whole experience, loading up some cargo, your ship suddenly explodes, followed by cocky GGs and global chat. Yup, a player just killed you, preventing you from completing the mission and forcing you to have to start all over again. With all the build-up frustration, you turn to Spectrum to see what others are saying. To your relief, others have expressed...
You didn't go to Spectrum to see what others were saying. You went to Spectrum to rage post.
The same feeling that you share. So you start typing away and theory crafting a way to fix the issue. So how does this fictional person I created propose CIG fix it? Arm assist around Xenothreat? Add 30 UEE Navy ships to shoot PvPers or anyone else?
Instance the content. Because this type of content is built to be instanced. But again, it's not an option.
That's not playing along with the intended script of how you think Xenothreat should be played? No, none of these solutions work. In fact, no solution this guy could think up would work, for one simple reason. That's because from the start, we are all viewing this wrong. But there is a fix, and it can only be done one way. You see, this player I just mentioned, he mostly plays solo. He's not competitive, he doesn't buy.
I'm already like, it can only be done one way. I have the answers. I'm red flagging right now.
bother anybody, he's casual. He just enjoys the sights and the excitement that Stanton brings. He expects he'll be able to do whatever and go wherever without consequences. His main goal is completing the mission, a mission that tells him where to go and what to do. It's quite simple, he's just following the script. And nowhere in his plans does he expect to die from some asshat who decides to shoot the ship he was on. He is uncomfortably reminded that this is an MMO.
There are lots of MMOs that have mechanics that protect players. So this isn't an MMO problem. This is a game design problem. Period. End of story.
Okay, so we've established that
It's also not an MMO. That's a whole nother can of worms.
any idea that this guy will bring to the table will not work. And that's because his game loop is different than others. Now, I respect all game loops, even griefing, but this guy's only thinking about his game loop. Let's open it up a little bit. In
Agreed.
regards to Xenothreat, listen to this clip from Board Gamer and tell me if you pick up on anything.
The problem with PvPers is they only think about their game loop, and the argument here is you're playing an MMO, you're interacting with other players, therefore anything can happen, and that is not the case in any MMO I've ever played. There have always been artificial restrictions. Well, that's not entirely true with Ultima Online, but when I got into Ultima Online, those restrictions were placed in because the unrestricted world, complete unrestricted world, is no good for anybody. Rules
When
need to be
someone
there.
PvPs, though, and sort of gets involved effectively on Xenothreat's side, they're taking up a slot of someone that could have been helpful, and then you need to take some of your manpower away from trying to complete this to defend against that PvPer as well.
Take some of my manpower away to defend against the PvPers as well. You see, Board Gamer views this as a negative, but I see it as
It is a negative because it is negative towards the goal of the person trying to finish the mission. That CIG gave no indication that you would be dealing with this problem.
a fun variable that promotes unique custom gameplay. Xenothreat should not be done solo, just like Jumptown. This is an open world game. Anything could happen. The reason you're complaining is
I don't agree with a lot of his points, but damn, his editing's on point. Yeah, the video's really good. The words, and I am for PvP. Like I think it should exist in lots of places. But is the person justified in hating the fact that what just happened to them happened to them? And let's not ignore the fact that I bring this comment up all the time. The moment you get out of your ship, the advantage goes so far towards the person who is in a ship that the whole PvP scenario does start to break a little bit.
because you can't do it solo. Hell, you're even struggling doing it in a group. I know this because I see it in Discord chat, Spectrum, and Reddit. You are only complaining because at any time someone could come along and prevent you from doing it, interrupting the mission that you set out to do, and that makes you mad. Big events like JT and Xenothreat are the only true dynamic events, because there is no script telling you exactly how to complete it. You complete it however you want. It's up to you and your group to figure out how to do it right. And this is the problem. You have people in one game loop that think it's a solo PvE mission, and you have another game loop that plays it completely different. So there has to be a compromise somewhere.
The compromise probably is that you let them post on Spectrum and cry, and you just keep doing what you're doing. The thing that PvPers in this community, I'm every time I watch a PvP video, it's them complaining that people complain about them. It's like they can't handle it. And I'm not saying that this is the case with River Grit or others. It does seem like a trend. Like when I PvP somebody and they call me a bad word, That was the whole point. That was the whole point. I thought. I'm confused. Right? I thought the whole point was to get him mad. So I'm a little bit lost here. Part of the fun is watching the reaction after for the people who can't handle it. But I've noticed that many people in the Star Citizen community that PvP can't handle the reactions and get upset with them. And I think it's because they think that it's going to push the game in a direction that makes them less able to do annoying shit. And they're right. And it's because they should be less able to do annoying shit. Because they're able to do too much annoying shit to the point where people go to Xenothreat. Maybe Xenothreat's a bad example, but if the game anywhere has unrestricted PvP, which essentially it does, because like 99.9% of the space is pretty unrestricted, there's going to be an issue where players who do not want to experience that are always forced to experience the possibility of that. And I've always been on the side of, I want it to be more of a situation where you know what you're getting into. So when you go to a certain area, maybe in a system or a certain system itself, think Pyro, people who complain that they die in Pyro can literally just quit. Like, what are you doing? Right? If you're dying from PvP and Pyro and you're complaining about it, you're an idiot. I don't know what else to say. You just lost the plot, right? You lost the plot. But the issue is Stanton, right? The issue is Stanton, where Stanton feels like it should be a safe place, and because it's not, people get upset. There's a communication issue here, and there's the game is unfinished issue. And both players are going to be upset at the choices CIG makes going forward. PvPers, murder hobos, griefers, whatever the fuck you want to call them, it doesn't matter. It's people who want to attack other players for reasons or for not reasons should be allowed to. But I feel they should be allowed to a little bit less anywhere openly and to the line that brings it to the place where the game can be completely unplayable for players in areas that it doesn't make sense. For example, at stations, around city, like that kind of stuff, it is very just weird, right? It's just kind of weird where it doesn't make sense for me. And it's literally due to the game that the game can't solve the problem itself because the developers decided that this screenshot is more important than making a good game. Right? This screenshot would sell more cutlasses than making a good game is. That's what they decided. And that's the issue that we're in right now. And then the PvPers are fighting against the screenshotters because they want to take more screenshots and not get PvP'd. So we are arguing and yelling at the players and not hating the game. And that is what I am so sick and tired of videos like this. It is not a player problem. It is a game problem. It is a developer problem. It is a design problem. It is a priorities problem. And every single issue should be pointed at CIG, not the players playing the game, on both sides.
Before we discover a compromise, let's just take a step back for a second. Could you imagine if CIG came out with Jumptown 3.0 and you unlocked the new armor set upon completion? People would riot. Every PvPer and their mother would be there. And we all know the reason people are getting mad over this Xenothreat thing is because there is a reward attached to it. All of a sudden, out of nowhere...
No, people are getting mad because the expectation is this is a PvE mission. That's why people are getting mad. It is a communication problem of what am I playing? What am I playing? It is instanced type dungeon content that is communicated that way, but then something else happens that doesn't make sense. Right? It's players think they're getting one thing and then they get another. Right? Like in this case, Xenothreat that is coming from the, hey, you signed up for the scary PvP zone when you go through this gate, come from that area, and then they come in this area, and they're meant to be pushed back to the scary PvP zone. Now, we talked about this earlier. Stanton kind of has to have its scariness as well, and pirates and PvPers need to be able to exist in these places as well, but it should be really difficult for them, and it's not. It is another, this game is so unfinished, there is a million things that need to be fixed, and everyone is going to be very happy at times with the changes, and everyone's going to be very mad at times with the changes on either side of this conversation. It is straight up the developers focused on screenshots and not the game
Where
for a
PvP
really
is
long
the
time.
problem. Well, why is that? Think about it for a second. There are more PvPers now than ever. PvP is
You're 7% of the community.
fun. It's the game loop that never dies. It's not scripted. Every day is different. Every interaction is different.
Yep, PvP is great.
You can be a Bob and cargo trade every day if you want, but that gets boring. It's the same old same.
What is this argument? We're going to listen to this again, and I'm not going to say a word.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, PvP is the problem. Well, why is that? Think about it for a second. There are more PvPers now than ever. PvP is fun. It's the game loop that never dies. It's
True.
not scripted. Every day is different. Every interaction is different.
Yep.
Yeah, you can be a Bob and cargo trade every day if you want, but that gets boring. It's the same old, same old. And what just happened recently? Alpha 3.23 with the addition of masterminds. This is the
What a waste of good editing. That comment was a waste of good editing, River. So, again, this is no shot at River. This is a shot at the comment that he just made. That is one of the dumbest comments I've ever heard in any React video I've ever watched in my entire life, and I've watched some stupid shit. Because you are making a statement like it's absolutely true and not just your opinion. That is your truth. How I tend to play MMOs is just like this. You ready? I tend to play MMOs where I go down the route of what he called boring, mining, cargo hauling, industry, crafting, those kind of things, until I get bored, because they are the same every day, right? So I don't disagree with him, but I don't find them boring in the moment, and I don't find them boring for a short period of time. Like it takes me a long time to get bored. And then I go hard into PvP for the exact reasons as he described them. It's different every day. The experience is different and all that, right? So like, he's not wrong. He just said it in a really, really, really silly way, to the point where like, this is truth, right? But it's just your truth. Oh, I literally just said it's just your truth, and he's here watching. River, I hope you just heard that whole thing. I think that the statement that you just made about like what PvP is and then your thoughts on cargo hauling being boring is incredibly stupid, and I think it ruined the whole video up to this point for me, because this video was really good, and I'm sorry.
truth. We're finding more and more new players coming to AC. We're finding new PvP orgs popping up and trying to make a name for themselves. And we're finding day oneers coming to the game only because they saw piracy or combat on YouTube, not because they saw Astropub on Twitch deliver cargo. But the most important...
That's objectively not true either. There's plenty of people who come for that kind of content as well.
The reason why...
Again, 7 or 8% of the community versus 92% of the community.
The PvP
Sorry, bro.
stock is increasing is because it's easier. Master modes made the entry to PvP way more achievable. The ceiling has lowered, and having numbers is now more efficient and effective. Before, it took months of training to reach a point where you could hold your own against other PvPers.
This is true. Master modes is opening up the PvP and just world to more people, and I think that 7 or 8% number is going to go up. So, yes.
Skilled pilot could 1v8 a group of casuals, and a good pilot was way more valuable, but Master Modes erased all of that. And now, PvP is more popular.
Not all of it. There is still, like, they're starting to find, and I imagine River knows as well, because he's a PvPer, and I'm sure he's a very, very good pilot. People are starting to find that there is a bit of the ceiling is going, there is one, right? But the floor definitely is higher, and people are able to participate now when they
More
weren't,
than
which is
ever.
awesome.
Whether it's organized or not, expect to see that community grow. Alright, now let's get back on track. The current issue with Xenothreat is you have two different game loops that are clashing in one centralized area. You have griefers that just want to murder hobo. You'll have a group of players that are all of the same.
Serious question. Is there a criminal side to this mission now? People were communicating it to me like there was. I didn't see it, though. No, not officially. Okay. So anybody who's doing that is murder hoboing, which, again, is totally fine. As long as it's kind of communicated that it's possible, I guess, to players. And unfortunately, it's possible everywhere. So players who just kind of want to chill and do this kind of PvE content, it gets in the way, and it's weird. Now, I don't think murder hoboing is bad. So I was going to stop there and be like, is it griefing if they have a mission on that side? I think what else is happening is everybody's shooting at anybody red, and players are becoming red randomly at the event. So you could be PvP'd by a person who didn't even realize they were PvPing.
Or trying to lock it down for themselves.
At the event.
You'll have the Joe Schmo, Board Gamer, or Space Tomato that are coming to do Xenothreat with their friends just to get the full experience CIG has given them. And then last but not least,
I also think, River, you put down other content creators who don't involve themselves in PvP like they're lesser people than you. And I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing. Right? I was very concerned by my teammates in the tournament and the fight or flight tournament that I was in, because one of them mostly does RP content, and the other one, and I didn't know well at the time before the event, but they ended up doing really, really well. And honestly, when I fought against them, they killed me a lot. Right? And the one who does RP a lot, Expat Brat, was the MVP of our team. Was way better than me. Right? So I don't necessarily like that. And I think Ali went really far. And if there was one player in the entire event that I would have thought would have been the worst, it would have been Ali. And Ali's team went really far. So I don't necessarily like the tone. And I've never liked that tone towards other creators. I try to not be that way. And it's the side of the PvP community that I really struggle with, is these people are below me. They just like different shit, man.
you'll have the solo player that doesn't have much time to play during the week, that wants to do it at their own pace. But at Xenothreat, every single one of these game loops I mentioned collide with each other. So first off, if CIG would just fix a few things, here's how it would go.
Okay.
For special events, you need two different type of mission chains. You need one for orgs, and you need one for solo players or casual players. Both need to have rewards. Jumptown at Xenothreat should be
I like this idea.
advertised as group events. What we have is not working. As it clearly mentions in the RSI website, bring some support as Xenothreat or other players may try to attack you. But
Oh, shit. Okay. It's on the website, but it's not in the fucking game. Unbelievable.
still, we have these schmucks like Smash League complaining.
You, along with a lot of other people, are just out to make other people's game experience worse. that like PvPing randomly in a PvE event is just being a dick.
Bad take from Smashly.
Something to work.
I like the music is a little loud. It is what it is. That's one of the hardest things to get right in a YouTube video, and I've never gotten it right, so there's no reason to critique that. I like the idea of him recognizing the fact that solo players are going to exist. They don't like grouping up with people. It is a thing that happens, right? And allowing those players to participate and exist in this greater, bigger thing. And I think MMOs should be going down that direction more and more and more, but also having that thing to strive for that's cooler when it comes to group play and like teaming up with players. So I love that idea. I think it's really, really solid. And I think the more of that in MMOs, the better. Because most people in MMOs, how about this? Not most people in MMOs, but I think most of the time spent in MMOs by players is spent doing things solo for a little while they're waiting for the groups to get together, people to get home from work. We schedule a time to go ahead and do our Xeno threat run, for example, right? Rivergrit says the problem is that there's a central location for these events. It collides every game loop, and obviously all the game loops don't mix. Yes, and that's the kind of argument that I think it's an issue where it's the type of content. People who complain at Jumptown are dumb. Okay? I think it's very well communicated what Jumptown is. People who complain at Xenothreat are a lot less dumb to me because of the type of content that is expected at that location. It is a PvE event. That is how it's communicated. Even though there's one tiny sentence on a website that you link to, that doesn't make your point correct. It's really the way the game communicates the type of content that you're playing. And it feels very much like a raid dungeon in an MMO. So that's what players are going to go in and expect. And I think when you say CIG should communicate better, you're 100% right, right? You're 100% right. And it comes down to, again, it's not the players, it's the game, and it's the developers and the way it's said, right? Because even if it's, even if it's written in the mission description, even if it's written in the mission description in the game, I still think the type of content you're playing is like made up to be PvE content. And when PvP gets involved, it doesn't make sense. Maybe that's a better way of explaining it. As I'm thinking about it more and more, they can literally say it's a PvP event and it wouldn't make sense as one. Is that better? It's like the whole mission is designed as a PvE event from start to finish. And then PvP gets involved and it's just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, wait, why is this something we're fighting over? It doesn't quite make sense. And I think that's the people have an issue with. Because Jumptown makes sense. You're fighting over the money. Everybody gets the payout at Jumptown if you complete it. So nobody's fighting over anything. Everybody should be working together. So the idea behind there's people that aren't working together, it's why you're getting reactions the way you are that Smashly said. Right? Even though the game as a whole is pretty obviously communicating that it's possible that these things can happen. So this is why I look at the game company and the developers way more than I look at the people involved in the situation, is it doesn't make sense from their side from the start. And that's why everybody's confused. Because I think the PvPers are confused, and I think the PvEers are confused, and I think it's CIG's fault. Let me think on this for a second. If you want to murder hobo, I'm fine with that. Should you be able to murder hobo at the actual event where everyone's fighting? And it's more of like, what's happening here? Because is it a UI problem? I mean, everything in this game's a UI problem. You can't tell who's PvPing you and who's an NPC half the time. Right? And Blaze, I'm going to kind of get to this, and I'm not going to say Eve solved that because I think a lot of people hated this shit about Eve, okay? So here's the thing that Blazemonger's talking about Eve, is that there's a gate you can open up and you can go to an instanced dungeon in Eve, but people can find where that gate is and gate camp you at the end and kill you when you leave and take your shit. Okay? And is that the sort of solution to scenarios like this? Is you allow the players to complete the event, they finish the reward, they get the achievement, they get the reputation. But whatever gear, loot, and shit like that they find is open to be taken by players somewhere in between where they were doing the event and where they go to, like, maybe the pyro jump gate in the Xenothreat scenario. Is that a better solution to this problem? Because then you're murder hoboing, which is fine, or you're pirating, which should be fine. You know what I mean? So it really comes down to, in a game like Eve, I always know that I'm at risk, but I'm still going to be pissed off when someone kills me. Because I was just trying to have some fucking fun, man. And that sucked. Right? And the same thing is going to happen in Star Citizen. I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to call you a virgin. Just don't get mad. It's part of the job. I just don't think Xenothreat is designed as a mission that should be PvP'd at. And that's the problem. And I don't think that there's any real argument. My God, your audio sucks. If River, DM me. If you use DaVinci Resolve, I'll link you a video that will help you so much. I just learned it this week because I have the same problem as you.
So, like I said, you have to spread it out. To sum it all up, you have missions that are for orgs or bigger groups, and then we have missions for the casuals and the solo players. So in the end, whatever game loop you...
Here's the thing. Big PvE content, there is a spectrum of casual players. And there is a wider spectrum of casual players in this game's community than anyone I've ever seen in my entire life. Are you ready? We have people who are like bar citizen, yacht club level that are just here for community and fun. That's great. And again, I love those guys. They're sweethearts. Until they get toxic, and then I'm not a big fan. Joe Ruin. Sometimes he gets mad, and he goes a little overboard. Doc, too. All right? But besides that, there is a big section of this community that's a lot older, isn't really for all this bullshit anymore, and they're just trying to, like, chill and take it easy, right? It is what it is. Then you got screenshotters, and then there's this whole spectrum of, like, PvE. Are you a PvE solo player? Are you doing PvE group content? Are you like the org that they used for the Xenothreat commercial that takes PvE maybe like really, really seriously, military comms and all this other shit? There's a spectrum of it. And the content like Xenothreat is for hardcore PvEers, which is why I like the idea that he brings up about the solo gameplay, is that you can get the middle end of the PvE and the low end PvEers that are just doing it solo and aren't willing to go through all the craziness of building a group. And then you have PvPers who call themselves hardcore and things like that, right? And there's a spectrum within that as well, right? There's people just getting into it. There's the Eve frogs like LR and Shadow Moses, and then there's pirates, and then there's griefing, and then there's all those other aspects of it. There's different spectrums in each part of the community, and even in PvE, they're not losers because they're doing that kind of stuff. Some of that stuff is going, and hopefully is going to be really challenging. And my hope and my dream is that hardcore PvEers are going to create value for PvPers. The items that are earned through hardcore PvE is something that a PvPer is not going to be willing to do or able to do. And hardcore PvEers will focus on that, and they'll work together / sell stuff. That's where it is. Everyone who isn't me is a loser. I'm the best. On brand.
You do enjoy, there's a mission set for you, and both are equally advantageous. CIG needs to set the expectation. It's an MMO. That's the best part about it.
I'm scared. At the end, I'm scared. But I think that's generally that is a generally good video. Overall good video. Some takes that I don't agree with. Some takes that chat definitely didn't agree with, and I think you were kind of nasty in chat towards him. And I think there's a problem, but I don't think the players are the problem. Okay? I do not think the players are the problem. I think the development is. I think the development is, and that's really all it is. And I think it's the reason why PvPers are freaking out a little bit. Is I think they don't know if the game is going to be in a direction where PvP is fun. All right, I'm out. All I was saying is that singular location events breed PvP interactions, and they should. And they should. Jumptown needs love. You're 100% right. And we need more and more and more of funneling players together. And they do. But the only thing that needs to change, River, is that they need to communicate to players that what you're signing up for better. Right? And I don't think I don't think an event like Xenothreat was designed to breed that kind of content. There's some just big problem with the way a big PvE event like that works, and like just randomly PvP happening, and it's kind of like abrasive and just like, oh, what happened here? Whereas like you're at Jumptown and you hear contact, and then it's like, oh shit, here contact, and you're like, oh shit, here it goes. Like it's a totally different vibe, right? So it can't just be, oh, people are together, PvP is okay. But what's the solution to that problem? Fuck if I know, man. I don't know.